Hit Storm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me, as always, is Ben Slinger.
Hello, hello, hello.
What's going on?
Sorry, we usually get into it a bit faster than that. What's going on? Yeah, no, I'm good. I've got a nice new setup with my nice new microphone boom arm here, so I'm standing up today. It's a different sort of energy.
Different sort of energy is always good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to play some click pitch and then we'll get into some other stuff.
We're going to do our usual thing. Do you want me to do
the spiel?
The spiel. Yeah. Click pitch. This is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us, and on the count of 3 to 1 click, we're going to get some new words. Are we doing ramped up today, Trevor?
Yeah, because I can't be bothered changing the setting.
Yeah, so we're doing ramped up click pitch, which in this case means we get an adjective and a noun each, and we're going to jam these words together and make a game design from them. And when we're done, we'll throw it away and we'll do it again a few times. And then we might do some movies, I don't know. If you've listened before, you know the deal.
So, 3, 2, 1, click.
Discovered territory.
Imaginary sunshine.
Oh, okay. I immediately went to someone finding the remnants of a Truman Show situation where there's essentially...
Underground or above ground? I kind of like the idea of a subterranean Truman Show.
Yeah, I like it subterranean. It doesn't super matter. Probably subterranean because then, like, why wouldn't have someone have found it already on like satellite photos or something? But yes, essentially the imaginary sun being its simulated sun. But I wonder, are they finding it during the experiment or like decades later, and it's kind of still like, I'm almost thinking it was automated and still running.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that the experiment is still running and, you know, the Truman-esque character is still there. He's an old man now and everyone else is there as a lot older as well, but they're sort of cut off from the world.
Are the other characters still playing their parts then? Are they still aware that this is all going on and still getting paid, or have they, have their paychecks stopped and they're like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Well, I don't think that they can actually leave. I think one of the things was that, at some point they were supposed to be collected and the whole thing was supposed to be shut down, but that never actually happened. So they haven't really been paid because, it's supposedly all going into their bank accounts. So when they leave the show, they're well looked after.
So they don't even know. Yeah, okay. So all it is they've essentially stopped receiving like notes from the producers. They know they can't leave. Like, that was part of the deal, is it's like, you're going to live here. You're going to be here for 3 years. You're going to get paid a shitload of money. And that was like 15 years ago. Okay. Who is our player? How do they come across this thing? Are they like doing some sort of dig and bust through the wall?
I know. I kind of like the idea that they've just got a new house.
Okay.
So they've just moved into a new house, and they go into the basement, and they notice a boarded up door.
Yeah. Okay.
They open up the door, and there's just stairs leading down.
So, okay, are we saying that like this house is like a refurbished? It's like where the producers were living or something?
Yeah, basically. When you go down the stairs a little bit, the first landing that you come across is like the production room.
Yeah.
So the production was literally underneath the original director's house. He built this whole thing underneath like the town that they lived in.
I think though that none of the gear's working, because I feel like I want the player to discover.
Oh no, it's all run down and it looks like it's been abandoned for years.
Yeah.
And
So
there's cobwebs everywhere and like screens are all busted and yeah.
Yeah, you see a room that's like, oh, this was used for some sort of audio-visual something, but you don't really know what. Maybe you find some notes or whatever that give you a little bit of a hint towards it. But then, yeah, you go the rest of the way down and essentially find a door which opens up somehow into this
pure sunlight.
Yeah, exactly. Into this suburban dream/nightmare.
Well, I'm thinking that it's sort of like, you creak this old door open and then, light starts streaming in. Maybe the cycle that it got locked into is that the sun hasn't actually gone down in this place for 15 years.
Yeah, the weather system, the day-night cycle broke and stopped at some point.
Yeah.
But it's some sort of solar-powered redirection of sun from the surface or something, so it didn't need the power to continue for it to continue shining. It just was never turned off.
Yeah. So I there's something about it being permanently noon that just hurts people's brains and all this sort of stuff.
Oh,
and
God,
they can maybe the clocks themselves in this place are all part of this weather cycle, so they don't actually know how much time has passed because it's always noon.
It's all hooked into the time system. It was like a consolidated time system for this whole experiment, and
it was just easier to set the
the clocks based on well, that made sense. The clocks are all set based on the day-night cycle, so if that stops, then the clocks stop.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting kind of in a way, a Bioshock-ish feel to this, where it's coming across this society, which is definitely broken in some way. I don't know that we want to go down the shooter route that Bioshock has, or make it a bit more just exploratory and sort of adventure gamey, I guess, or walking sim. I'm thinking first person though, because I've got a good feel, the whole, the door opens and your nice HDR visuals, react to the change in light, the bright sunlight in there as your eyes get used to the sun and you realize where you are.
I'm almost thinking role-playing game sort of thing, of more talking to people, finding out oh, I haven't seen, this person for years. Can you go find out what's happened to them, sort of thing? And you get
a little
side
log.
questy things.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like an adventure game, but it has that sort of main story and side questy stuff that you can do along the way to sort of get people onto your side they're all interested in this new person that sort of arrived, but then the mayor of the town is very wary that someone has walked into this place after, 15 years of no contact with the producers.
Yeah.
So when do you think how long before they actually let the person know that they were in an experiment?
Yeah, so you think the player is the one who reveals it?
I think at first it could be, but it actually turns out that the character who is now the mayor has actually found out from his wife on her deathbed, because I think that his wife actually passed away.
Oh, I see. So you're saying the
or husband, it doesn't matter what route we go down.
Yeah.
I just kind of like the idea that they've found out the
experiment has become the mayor.
Yeah. But of course, you were too young. Maybe you were a 15, 16-year-old, so you were maybe one when the thing went off the airways.
Yeah. You don't know the show.
Yeah.
For sure. At some point you may be as it becomes revealed to you, you're I have some, I think I saw the Wikipedia page about that once.
About Neighbours, yeah, I'm sure.
Neighbours. The whole thing is Neighbours. Oh my God. So wait, if this is Neighbours, who is the person who thinks it's real?
They all do.
They all do. They're all
I don't know.
They're all brainwashed, dropped into fucking...
I know. I'm thinking, some sort of soap opera-y sort of thing. But also, how negative would the mayor be after having found out this whole thing? He didn't take it as well as what Jim Carrey did in the Truman Show.
Yeah, well, after this long and that much, I mean, I guess after Jim Carrey had been in there for whatever 25, 30 years, but yeah, I think this is even longer, given that the guy's 60 or something.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking there's another threat that's sort of happening.
Okay.
And it's
There's a
basically
reboot of the show.
Well, they've been running low on food for years, and so
Right.
they've been growing food wherever they can and all that sort of stuff. But there's only so much water. They've obviously got the little oceany sort of thing, kind of like in the Truman Show. But
I do love. Okay, just to kind of get a broad scope of the game itself. I like your idea of it being RPG-ish. It's feeling very Fallout.
Just without the shooting aspect. I don't think you need that.
I don't think you do the shooting aspect, but I'm loving this idea of like, yeah, you come across, like it's this huge area. It's this whole town essentially and the outskirts. And yeah, you're coming into these spaces where it's essentially post-apocalyptic, but confined to this set. And I kind of love how you can play with that, especially when everyone except one person knows that it's fake. And so they are going to be bitter, or they're all going to take it in different ways. Like some of them are like, oh, it's great. Like we don't even have to worry about those fucking producers breathing down our necks anymore. We just get to live our lives. And some of them are just like, oh my God, like I want to get out of here and get my money. I left my, sister out there and she's, who knows what's happening. Yeah. And just discovering all these little stories around the place, obviously all revolving around very like literal, well, I guess not literally revolving, but very much revolving around the mayor, who was actually the center of the show.
Well, maybe it is revolving. You go back to the door that you originally, came through. You open it up, and there's just plain blood. There's plain like brickwork or dirt or something
revolving to like
like that.
simulate seasons or something very slowly, but like. Yes, once you've been there for a week, your door's shut off, and it's not going to come back until like that same time next year.
So,
because the whole set is
the sorts of quests that I think that you'll actually go through is more around you actually start working out how to repair some of these functions. So, one of the first things that you need to repair is actually the weather system. Get the the season, or get the sun moving again, so these people can actually experience night
for
the first time in 15 years.
And I think part of that is then getting that season system under your control so that you can get out. But getting out means you get to go into the control room, and now you've got even more control over things. And essentially, you kind of take over the running of the show in some way. But it's actually just to help the people who are in there. Yeah. Now the only question is, why wouldn't you just tell them all that there's a door they can get out of? So I'm wondering if somehow you got locked in there as well.
Well, that's why I'm saying that the second that you open up the door, you close it behind you, you hear something moving. And literally, it's the entire world sort of shifting. And
no, I get that. But my thing was around, it would be, I feel like having them get access to the producers, like the producer's room, the production room, is good, but still not being able to escape from there back into their house, essentially, so that there's not the question of, well, why doesn't everyone just get out? But also they can. So maybe it's that they get trapped on like this side where the producer's room is, but it's, I don't know, something locks behind them, even back into their house or something.
Okay, some sort of code that they need to now find, to be able to unlock the door.
Because all of this was done in like such secrecy that there's just all these security systems in place, even to the level of getting into the production basement.
Yeah. I do like the idea of, as you're going through the town, you find out that there's another house almost exactly the same as yours. And when you go down into it, there's like another like mini production room. Now, it doesn't go down into another like thing, no. But that's it happens to be that's where like there's a fake version of the
all right,
of the production area that maybe there's been some rats that have actually come through and eaten through some cables, and that's what's actually stopped the whole thing.
Okay, see, this might solve the problem actually, because maybe yes, your character, the player, is stuck in the actual town, so it does close behind them. They can't get back into where they were, but there were certain situations where one or more of the producers would like play a character in the town, and then
And be able to control some shit
and
from
be able to
within.
control some stuff. So in their house, they had a basement and an area where there was and that's what you start getting control of and getting into the system there.
Yeah, and basically you're repairing the systems from there, and then once you repair enough, then you get access to the higher control room.
Yeah.
Like you managed to get the power all connected back up. Like there's a massive power network throughout the entire town that has basically gone into disrepair.
Yeah. Yeah, because nobody here nobody was hired for their like electrical engineering or
no, they're all actors.
They're essentially all actors. And
all actors and a guy who's been raised by actors. So he's effectively an actor himself.
And they're just lucky someone knew enough to like plant the old tomato seeds from the last batch of food they got to like start a little garden going. Or maybe they just like some of them had veggie patches or whatever, like as part of the gig. It's like one of these things like, I had to train to be a veggie farmer so that I could have a convincing veggie patch because my character, had that skill.
So I'm picturing that all the water in the ocean sort of thing, it's all salt water, obviously. So they've got to come up with some way of actually removing the salt so they could use the water in the...
Yeah.
But then when you fix the weather system and it starts raining for the first time in 15 years, like... everyone's sort of like, oh my God, and dancing out in the streets and all this sort of stuff.
I think that's a big moment for sure. Yeah, so I'm definitely liking this idea of basically the whole game being you bringing this whole town back to life with the end goal, obviously, and then everyone gets to escape if they want. Somehow you like the final thing you get access to is actually getting everything lined up so that people can leave. We talked about RPG stuff. Do you think you, in a Fallout sort of way, like put points in different skills and have different ways to solve these problems then? Like, do you take a, like, computer engineering or hacking skill?
Yeah, no, it's more around the, side quest and all that sort of stuff. I just like those typical, sort of things of here's a whole heap of story that doesn't need to be part of it.
So it's more the story structure of an RPG than the sort of character development. Yeah,
I mean, you can still have stuff. Like a fetch quest sort of thing. It's just that there's not going to be that much combat, but there may be, you go down like this side quest and that branches out into these other side quests to be able to fulfill that first one that, all becomes part of,
I guess, I guess it's more about, like with the skills, I was thinking, if you've taken more skills in like, essentially diplomacy versus hacking, then like you solve the problem of getting access to stuff by, talking to someone who knows something about something else that lets you get a passcode versus just breaking in and getting and hacking through. Like whether it's that sort of difference. It doesn't have to be combat related skills. It can be around, electrical engineering skills. You put points into that, and that means you're more likely to pass a check to do something. I don't know. It might not make sense to have that if we want it to be more essentially just it's
adventure
game, but with sort of an RPG-ish quest structure.
Yeah, and that way you can actually say that your main task is to get out, and then you can basically have these extra little things along the side that may add to the main quest, or they may just be standalone sort of stories, but you're still meeting up with all these different people and you're sort of learning all about the town. And
yeah, I think it's more about giving the opportunity to have these little side quests that are optional, but give you information about people in the town and the history of it all. And then other smaller quests which are feeding into the main quest, which aren't optional, but like have like smaller term goals, whether it is just get a windmill working or something. I don't know, like get the wind working so we can build a windmill to create electricity. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, no, it's cool.
Okay, so I think the final thing is that you, when you get out, you find out that the person that did own this place was the producer. Yeah. But had something like dementia or something like that, and like for the last just 15 years, well, hadn't forgot, but had some sort of before they passed away recently, before you bought the house, like they'd been, in some sort of medical condition in which they couldn't actually they were impaired and didn't actually remember all these things, but had written down all this stuff in notebooks, thinking they were forgetting something.
So is it just this one person running the whole thing? It's like some, eccentric billionaire who set all this up?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Hired people to build all the systems and stuff, but then he was the only person actually in control of running it all. And so, yes, when he was incapacitated, the whole thing started to run down. I like it. That's cool.
I like it a lot.
3 click. Sober despite.
Biased, harden.
Sober despite. So sober despite makes me think of someone who's drinking alcohol but is not doing anything. I don't know where that comes into the game. Is this at some sort of party or like social situation, and it's around?
Maybe this is the new version of like prohibition, in that like they're still providing alcohol, but they're still providing drinks that say they've got alcohol, but it's extremely reduced alcohol content.
They're all watered down.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, no matter how many drinks you have, you're always going to remain sober because
you can't drink it fast enough to actually get drunk with the amount of alcohol that's in there.
Yeah. And there's just something about prohibition that sort of gives that different idea of different stories that could be going on around there.
We are now in the 20s again.
Yeah, the roaring 20s.
All right, modern day prohibition. What country are we setting this in? Are we saying Australia brings in rules to say, all right, this like alcoholism in our culture has gone too far. We are stopping all imports and all production of alcohol in Australia, and now you're part of like the underground speakeasy running, underground railroad running alcohol runners, booze runners in Australia.
Yep.
Does the harden come from you doing something with ice to hide it in? I don't know. I'm trying to think of how you're somehow hiding booze, smuggling booze.
It's all about the hard liquor. It's you're not trying to bring beer in or anything like that. It's all about spirits.
Okay, so
you get more bang for your buck.
Harden comes from, like, as a verb, comes from increasing the booze content to make something harder. All right, that's good. Okay, so what are we talking here? Are we talking like Satisfactory style running booze trains underground? Yeah,
I think everything is all about trying to work out, okay, we need to run the tunnel between this place and this place. So you're sort of looking on top going, okay, I need to mark it from here to here. I'm going in approximately this direction.
Oh,
and you're trying to work it out, because when you're underground and you start setting this thing going, you can't break up to the surface and have a look around and see where you are. You're trying to match up the tunnels and get it all.
So it's more about the logistics of digging these tunnels then, almost.
Yeah.
I could see that working. That could be interesting. Having to, like, source materials to, like, run power down there so so the people digging aren't in the dark, to, get the rail cars.
I think you've got some sort of cool electric digger that, you can use.
Well, once you've raised enough money.
Yeah. I think the problem is it's on an extension cord, and the extension cord can only go so far.
Doesn't have batteries. That's an upgrade.
Yeah, but that only lasts like 3 feet of digging, because then you got to take out the double A's and put them back in.
The double A's. All right, tell me how you picture this game starting. Like, from a gameplay perspective, what is your starting state? Are you just someone who's like, fuck this, like, I'm going to find a source of alcohol, I'm going to find a way to get it to a pub? And
I think the start of the game, it opens up and you're a bartender, you're serving drinks to your patrons.
Yep.
When all of a sudden the door gets kicked in by the liquor police. and they bust you for selling alcohol to
Okay, so you're running. So essentially, it's already illegal. You're running a speakeasy. You're running an illegal speakeasy, and
but the rules have literally only come in today. Like it just got passed.
So you are okay,
and the liquor police have come in and busted down your door of your bar.
Right. In that case, I like the idea of you've got the TV on, and like there's a news thing that's like
new controversial liquor laws come into play today.
Yes, all alcohol banned across Australia, and then then the door gets kicked in immediately. As the TV says, like simultaneous raids on every liquor serving establishment in Australia.
Will happen at some time this afternoon. Bang.
Will happen at some time this after. Bang. You don't even hear the end of the sentence. And then it's essentially, okay, now you're left with nothing.
And it goes through to like 6 months later and, no one's in your bar and someone...
right. Because you're still like serving peanuts or something, right? Like,
and soft drink and all this sort of stuff. Drink. But no one wants to actually come and have, expensive water and all this sort of stuff because you can't have tap water for free anymore.
I do love the idea of like, there's just all these people in there. It's essentially the same except without the alcohol. Like everyone's just like, this is terrible. The music's still going. You're trying to get people to have a fun time and they're just like,
they're all depressed.
I'm going to go home and watch Netflix. And obviously, at risk of glorifying alcohol abuse, but from a general, we'll take the happy sides of it. Okay.
So then, like, I think you and the other local, alcohol purveyors or whatever you want to call them, like, the other bartenders, other owners of similar things in the district, they decide to like dig a network of tunnels between all the
All right. Yeah. Okay. Here's how I think it goes. I think it's in VR because, as we've said multiple times, bartending in VR is fun. Or seems like it would be. I've never tried. You have
cocktail,
absolutely. You have that opening scene where you can watch the TV, you see stuff get kicked in, blah, blah, blah. Cuts to 6 months later, you're behind the bar again. You have some conversations with, despondent bar patrons. And then someone comes up to you and they're like, hey, like, it's me, the owner of the Dirty Pig from across the road. Because, I don't know, apparently Australia has English-style pub names now.
Well, they do. Have you seen the Elephant and Wheelbarrow?
I mean, there are a few. But anyway.
The Spearmint Rhino.
For those who don't know, that is a gentleman's club.
I had to say it.
You really did it. No, it's fine.
Made you laugh.
It's me. I run the Dirty Pig. We're all in this together. A bunch of us are having a meeting tonight. Like, we're going to do something about this. And you essentially get, what is basically a cutscene of, here's the plan. We're going to do this. And then you can look down at a map and that's the start of your planning. Setup. It's like, okay, here are good spots that we can run this stuff. Like, I mean, I guess you're running it at your bars maybe. It's like, okay, where are we sourcing it from? You've got maybe a few different options with different difficulties or different distances from things. And so it's about choosing based on your resources. Okay, we're going to dig tunnels. We're going to need these materials to like transport it, hide it, advertise it discreetly somehow. Like, how are we going to get the word out?
I kind of like the idea as well that there's certain places in the city that you don't want to be digging under because, this skyscraper has its foundations go down really deep and could collapse tunnels and all this sort of stuff.
So you've got limitations. Don't dig under the lake because we'd have to, if we don't dig deep enough, we're going to flood our tunnels.
You've got to be very careful about the subway. Like, the city loop trains that go, sometimes you're going to have to go down deep underneath them, or depending on the elevation of them, you may have to actually go over the top.
When they've built our suburban loop or whatever the fuck they're building.
Well, there's already a city loop. There's just going to be a new one as well.
But that's what I'm saying. So there's even more, even more
real estate being
Subway.
used up down there.
Yeah. Subway's in the way. But you might find a way to utilize that. It's like, if we send our things down here at a certain time, we can use the subway rails with our own trucks to get at a huge distance. We just have to make sure to time it exactly right between trains.
Yep. I mean, all that's coming into my head right now is my head is literally singing "Something in the Way" every time that you're trying to dig into something and you come across something. It's like "Something's in the way."
Yeah. If we can go grunge themed, the whole thing's Nirvana themed. It's all based around Nirvana songs.
Some pretty horrible ones in there. Horribly named, anyway.
Why did I name my bar In Utero? It's just no one really comes anymore.
I was thinking a certain other one from that album, but
It's the R word.
Yes. That I refuse to say.
Yeah. Okay. Let's end that one there. I do like that idea. No, I don't know exactly how the digging stuff would work, because I do like your idea of having to, it's not exact. Like, you're not just marking here's where to dig on the map. You do mark it on the map, but then it's like, okay, you need to, like, figure out your directions and stuff. So, yeah, if you are going too close to the lake, like, if you're like, okay, we'll go by the lake, we're not going to go under it. It's like, what if you go off course?
Yeah,
then you got
because you're looking underground and all you've got is a compass, like to actually to work out a compass and a tape measure.
Tape measure, yeah, for sure. Compass
Either
and a
that,
tape measure.
or you think about that. They've got that. What's it called?
Oh yeah, like the wheel.
The wheel that determines the meter.
Yep.
Yeah, you can use that.
Yep. I love it. All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
Enforced wound.
Screaming vegetable.
Oh, God.
I
think I know what's about to happen.
I mean, we don't have to.
Are we going to finally show the war?
The Starch War?
The Starch War?
Maybe. Well,
there's a lot of screaming and wounds.
Was our very first game not the war?
No, it was after the war, I'm pretty sure.
All right. Fuck it. Let's do it. So, we have a long-running IP, I guess, known as Starch Wars, which is all about the war between the leafy vegetables and above ground and the root vegetables underground with, various crossover. And a lot of our games have actually come in the aftermath of this. And
Brendan White was there at the very start.
Yes, 8-bit's own from Hungry Gamers, Brendan White was helped us come up with this idea.
So I think this is the initial part of the war where it's humans versus vegetables.
Is that where we fell on that?
Well, we know that the humans have actually all died out.
Well, but didn't they bring humans back?
They did bring humans back later on, but this is a prequel to all of that.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if the original Starch War then is against humans.
No, the original Starch War was leafy vegetables versus root vegetables, but that was after they destroyed all the humans.
Okay, we're saying they destroyed the humans, because I feel I can't remember the canon, but I feel like it was just they evolved after the humans all died out. But all right, so you're saying this is humans versus vegetables. Are they consolidated at this point? Is it all growing things, and it's later on that the rift between the leafy vegetables and the root vegetables came about? Okay.
I mean, you could literally see the reason why, this war actually happens at the end of this game. Like, after they destroy all the humans. Maybe one of the leafy vegetables try to stop the root vegetables from going too far and completely obliterating them all. Okay. And that's what starts the war off.
Okay. So, they've got all these prisoners of war.
Yeah.
And the root vegetables want to just execute them all. And the leafy vegetables are like, no, that's... we've won our freedom. Let's show mercy. But of course it ends in the root vegetables executing them. Okay. Do we go all... Like, do we take ourselves really seriously and go, like, super Call of Duty-esque with these big set pieces and...
Oh, yeah. I'm loving the idea of, you know, these huge humans above you and you're running in between their legs sort of thing, trying to...
Just these swarms of vegetables. How did these vegetables gain sentience then? Have we determined that? Is it through just, like, genetic engineering, trying to create
I think
robust...
I think it's through the you know, the gene splicing and all this sort of stuff that the humans were doing.
Okay.
They actually created sentient vegetables.
Yep.
And in this case, it's sort of just like Planet of the Apes, like the new ones when they came out, how they showed they were, you know, genetically modifying these apes, and then they ended up taking over the entire world.
Yeah. So, okay. I like that. Rise of the vegetables. Cool. But yeah, that's good.
It's kind of like Plants vs. Zombies, but Plants vs. Humans.
Yeah, and I think it's taken much more seriously, like I said. I think this is gory and showing the horrors of war just in this obviously ridiculous setting. So, do you only play the vegetables in this game, or do you get to play levels as a human? Do we switch back and forth to show both sides of the war?
Kind of like an Alien versus Predator, where you could play the Alien, the Predator, and the Marines.
Yeah.
So you can play the root vegetables, the leafy vegetables, and the humans.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the human gameplay is obviously very different.
That's more of a jump scary sort of thing going through a village and like trying to...
I like the idea. I like maybe it's one of these things where there's just one or two human levels, and like they're very much these set pieces set up. One of them is just you're going through a dark field with a flamethrower, and just like hearing the screaming of all these vegetables as you just like blast their homes.
It's kind of like that
war crime kind of manner, but
it's kind of like that level from Call of Duty 2.
Oh no! Oh, I thought you were going to say Spec Ops with the fucking napalm, whatever it is, or the white the fluorite.
No, I was thinking of that Modern Warfare 2 level where you go through the airport.
The airport, yeah, okay, yeah.
That was sort of that was so bad. Like, but you could just imagine, you know, going through the crops of vegetables in this field of corn, and you just melting everything.
Well, again, yeah, the purpose here, obviously, it's not supposed to feel good to do this. It's supposed to be showing the horrors of war, and the crimes that occur at wartime. But yes, in a human versus vegetable war.
But in this case, like at the end of this, like a carrot gets shot at you, sort of thing, and you know, embeds itself in your skull, sort of thing.
It's like Carrotkaze. Carrots? No, Carrotkaze is better.
Yeah, Carrotkaze.
Carrotkaze.
I think we've actually come up with the name of the episode already.
Carrotkaze. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And then, do we do some full on like Shadow of the Colossus style when you're playing the vegetables? You've got moments where you're literally having to like grab onto these humans as they're moving around and pull yourself up onto them. Or is it more just you're one of the many troops kind of converging, firing at them, you know, doing set pieces of it's like, we need to set off the launcher to fire one of these carrots at them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Infantry sort of thing.
I think, Shadow of the Colossus does have a great feel to it that, you know, you're climbing up these people. But picture this.
Okay.
Halloween. You see all the carved pumpkins around.
Is that
the husks of like your fellow, you know, gourds? Well, as you're like you're a butternut pumpkin that's come to life and walking down this sort of burnt out street that just has, you know, human bodies strung around and there's, carnage all over the place. And
well, is
this...
Halloween the start of it all? Is this where, as the humans perform their annual ritualistic slaughter of pumpkins and other squash, that the sentience of these things finally comes to the surface?
I mean, the vegetables could understand eating. Everything's got to eat to live and all this sort of stuff. But then to see just this willful destruction with no plans to actually eat, just let them rot.
Yeah. They carved faces into their skin and left them to rot on the streets. I mean...
The ultimate humiliation.
Yeah. So this is essentially, the year that the vegetables gained the sentience to understand the horrific behavior of the humans that's when the war started.
Yeah.
So do we have that scene in there, or do we have something happening in the aftermath of it? Like I
think it's in the aftermath. So you can sort of see that, there's rotting pumpkin carcasses, but there's also
just other vegetables strewn about that have been taken down
that have also been taken down. But there's also, whether you go the kids in costumes,
oh my god! Oh, come on! Oh my god, that's getting dark. Are you saying there's dead kids in costumes lying around?
There's dead little people in costumes. We don't specifically say that they're kids.
Oh god. I'm not sure persecuting a particular minority is any better. Okay. I guess it depends how dark we want to go there. But
an eye for an eye. A pumpkin for a carcass.
Oh my god. We can't do this with kids, but I'm picturing you see these humans with jack-o'-lantern faces carved into them because they've fought back and they're well, you did it to us. Just carved into their
kind of
skin.
like the whole Jack Pumpkinhead sort of gangly sort of, look incredibly tall because you're only down here and you're seeing this monstrous being sort of come towards you.
Mm.
Oh, that's just scary.
Are you playing a human or a vegetable in this aftermath scene, do you think?
Vegetable. Well,
yeah, this is...
I don't know. I'm now picturing a kid walking down the street in costume.
Oh, God.
Hit F to call mummy.
All right. Next game now. Let's leave it at that. I'm not sure we can get any more fucked up. Should we do some movies?
Yeah.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a random movie from this random movie selecting bot. We should name it. What's the movie selecting bot called? We'll name it Roger after the late Roger Ebert.
Ebert bot.
I mean, yeah, he's already kind of got bot, Ebot, Roger Ebot. He's going to give us a random movie each, and we're going to either take the title or the full movie, depending on if we know it and how well it suits the game, and make a game design out of it. So it might be a tie-in movie to a movie a tie-in game to a movie or it might just be a new game based on the idea or the title.
Mm-hmm. 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting one. I've never heard of it, but I kind of want to watch it. It's called Kin, K-I-N, 2018. Synopsis: a young boy finds a powerful otherworldly weapon which he uses to save his older adoptive brother from a crew of thugs. Before long, the two of them are also pursued by federal agents and mysterious mercenaries aiming to reclaim their asset. So that's kind of cool.
I did it twice because I thought that the first one that I got was different to what it actually was.
Okay.
So the first one was The Personal History of David Copperfield.
Oh. Okay.
And I thought, is that David Copperfield the magician? Click again. No, it's Charles Dickens' semi-autobiographical masterpiece, David Copperfield.
Right.
In movie form. I like the idea of your kin.
Yeah, that's cool. It's only got 33% on Rotten Tomatoes. So let's maybe just go with the general idea. I mean, obviously, we only have the idea, but... Yeah. And... Yeah, that's fun. So, young boy, older adoptive brother, finds a powerful otherworldly weapon. I mean, it is a cool idea. It almost is too obvious. So let's take it in, maybe try to take it into a different direction. Because, I mean, you could easily just go FPS, you blasting down people to save your brother with a cool weapon.
Did your brother maybe find the weapon and has gone off, like, on a rampage sort of thing, and you're trying to now do a where in the world is your brother and calm him down?
Okay,
follow the carnage.
I kind of like the idea of, following the carnage of your brother who has found this powerful weapon. And, you know, he thinks he's doing the right thing. He's, like, trying to get revenge. They've had a shitty life. They're underprivileged. They've been on the streets. People have taken advantage of them. So you know that, he's going to go straight to Davo's place, the drug dealer who's been, like, forcing him to sell drugs on the street, you know, with under threat of violence, and he wants to get revenge, right? And then, you know, but continues from there. Does your character also find otherworldly devices of some kind, whether it's a weapon or otherwise?
Yeah, I think you've found some sort of tracker, maybe. So you don't just have to follow the carnage. You can sort of, you know, in certain places around each area, like it charges up enough to be able to detect where it is now. Like you're sort of almost centering in on a place.
Or it tracks like the energy signature when it's been fired or something. So you can never see, here's where it is right now. But it's like, here's like the trail of the most powerful, you know, nearby energy signature that it was fired recently or something. So that's the way you can kind of follow.
Yeah. Especially when you get to a carnage scene where he's fired at the weapon, but now it's like, it's venting like particles for the next, you know, minute or so. So you're able to follow, he fired it here and then he ran off in this direction.
Yeah.
He went into the cellar of this place. Why would he do that? Like,
yeah, and you go down and find like some illegal activity that was happening there, and yeah, that's cool. All right, so from the younger brother, then what's their gameplay? Is it more like sort of exposition, almost walking simulator sort of thing?
Exposition, walking simulator with some stealth elements.
And maybe some investigative sort of stuff as you...
Because you're trying to stay away from the government agents who are also, obviously looking for him.
They don't have your device, but they're just tracking like, there was some sort of attack here by a weird weapon. Yeah.
And so you're having to stay away from that because, you know, they've got some sort of detector of like the technology. Like they've managed to determine where it is, and if they catch you with this technology on you.
Maybe later. I think it's more just they're following the reports of carnage. You can often get ahead of them because you've got this tracker and you're like, okay, I know he heading this direction. Like they have to wait for the next, you know, event to happen effectively, but you can sort of at least head in the right direction. But then there are moments where, you both get to the scene at the same time, and so now it's you're stealthing around, gathering evidence or like tracking the particles or whatever, while also avoiding, these agents who figuring out what happened themselves just through what they're looking at and talking to people, interviewing people who survived, and you can get some, you can overhear exposition through those means as well. Yeah. I wonder then, is there something around, I kind of like the idea that the weapon ejects, depleted casings of some sort, but that you can use those to like upgrade your scanner or upgrade your own technology, so that as you go, you are getting better technology or more things that you can use in different places to determine what happened and where he went next.
So somewhat like almost a scripted Metroidvania sort of thing where you're now able to get the double jump, so you can now, you've
maybe,
effectively been
or
given slight anti-gravity, in which you can like kick off the air. Sort of thing.
Less Metroidvania in that you're not revisiting places, but more, yes, in this next area, I now have this additional ability that I can make use of to essentially find the next set of evidence and ejected casings, and you've got certain things you want to find out in each position, as well as getting information about what's happening and avoiding the FBI. And
Mm-hmm. Now, are there collectibles about?
Well, I think it's more around environmental storytelling stuff. So I think you get rewarded for exploring by getting more backstory and getting more information around. And maybe kind of like as a collectible, but
the Division sort of thing where you find different audio recordings and like different, mobile phone sort of things that are just strewn around.
Or even like, you've got this tech. It's some sort of like reconstructive, it measures the direction of all the air particles and can reconstruct something that happened there within the last 30 minutes or something, as a holographic something.
Do you think
technobubble?
Do you think this weapon is fully destructive, or do you think that this is sort of converting these people that he's sort of attacking into electrical energy that can actually be reversed at some stage?
That would definitely give us the opportunity to redeem the brother. Yeah. The brother in some way, which might be nice. It also might be nice if... What was it? Was it Megamind or something? One of those animated films where they shoot someone and they turn into like a little... like pyramid of energy or something. You could make that a collectible almost. So like you're literally collecting essentially these deconstructed
survivors.
Humans. Quotation mark survivors, in that yes, these are the people he shot.
He missed.
I think these are the people he hit. But he thinks he's killing them. They essentially just like turn into these little blobs of energy. And
you're collecting them and using them to upgrade.
No, I don't know that these are your upgrades. I think this is something different. No, but maybe they're your upgrades. No, I can go with that. You don't realise. Okay, that's a twist. That's great. You think they're these ejected casings from the weapon, and they're glowing with energy, and your device can, like, suck them in and, like, upgrade itself. And then later on, you find out, oh no, these are the people he shot at who have been transmutated into pure energy. That's what this weapon does. And you've gone and used up all their energy, and now there's the one who killed them. Now they're dead. They weren't before. No. I think you can get to the end and essentially like pop out all these people. And bring them back, but because I think you could have a really, like, when you finally catch up with your brother, you could have a really like fucking heart-wrenching scene actually of his remorse. Then he snapped and he did this and he wanted to hurt people, he wanted to get back at people, and now he's realized like he's left this chaos behind him and he didn't want to do it. But you get to like say, it's okay. They're all here. You don't maybe pop them all out since half the people are like drug dealers and stuff, but you get to redeem him in some way, or at least like help him come to terms with what he's done. Yeah.
Is it one of these things where the different coloured collectibles sort of mean different things? So like red ones were murderers and like
it's like it like reflects their aura.
Yeah, effectively.
What type of person they were. I don't know.
So I'm picturing it's kind of like in Dark Souls where you pop a soul. You pick one up and you pop it and it's like up goes the meter. Jesus.
Yeah.
Only to find out that you are literally popping souls.
Actually destroy their energy form. No, I think that's cool though. I think you can make a cool game out of that. And yeah, I like that idea of it's sort of, you're following the aftermath of a shooter in some way, of what could be a cool shooter. But it's like, no, this isn't the shooter. This is you tracking down in the aftermath. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I reckon we've got time for just one more.
Yeah. Do you want to do another movie or another?
Yeah, another movie.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay. I have Color Out of Space, which is a H.P. Lovecraft movie. Came out in 2020.
Oh, very
got
nice.
Nicolas Cage.
Oh, okay. I mean, that doesn't say anything for the quality of the film, knowing Nicolas Cage. It could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay. Well, I got 2000's Scary Movie, the satirical horror by the Wayans brothers. So we all know that one, I think.
Yes. So Color Out of Space is
give me a rundown.
A family moves into a remote farmstead in rural New England to escape the hustle and bustle of the 21st century. They're adapting to their new life when a meteorite crashes into their front yard, melts into the earth, and infects both the land and properties of space-time with a strange, otherworldly color. To their horror, the family discovers this alien force is gradually mutating every life form that it touches, including them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that. No, I'm just kidding.
Something about a VR game set in this sort of world where things are mutating around you and you realize that you touched this substance at the start.
Yeah, well, okay, there are a lot of different ways you could do that, I think. The whole changing color and mutating environments made me think of that game. I had its name a second ago and now I've forgotten it. Journey to the out in. What's that game? Do you know the one I'm talking about? It's like a shooter. Journey to the Savage Planet. There you go.
Okay. Yes, I own that.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass, so it's. I've played it on the Epic Store. Yeah. In that way, so that's all about kind of killing and collecting things from different creatures and unlocking stuff and researching them and things. So that's kind of cool, having a bit of like researching this mutated stuff and like tracking, finding out about and kind of analyzing and collecting in a sense or these different new creatures in the area.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. I kind of like the idea that you're playing a scientist who's come in, you're in the hazmat suit sort of stuff, and you're investigating like the surrounding areas and eventually trying to get to the ground zero.
Oh, I like the idea. Do you remember
So it's where it's already happened, and
yeah. Well, what that made me think of is the movie Evolution.
Yeah,
with David Duchovny and who's the other guy in there? Yeah, David Duchovny, Sean William Scott, Orlando Jones, and so yeah, they essentially the scene where they go into where it's already all been sort of sealed off, and they go in and obviously get infected and different stuff, but they're seeing this entirely new ecosystem that it's converting the air and it's all this sort of thing. So I like the idea of coming into a scene, something like that, where I don't think it's evolving in the same way necessarily, but it's mutating everything and essentially terraforming the area and creating creatures that suit that new environment.
Which is quite, Cthulhu-esque, like lots of tentacles, lots of, melted sort of thing-esque.
Yeah. Very Cronenberg-ish.
Oh, yeah. They got Cronenberg the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I like that actually of having familiar creatures in this fucked up Cronenberg form.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's something about, like, body horror that is just...
Oh, yeah.
In VR, I mean, you could just imagine, plants mutating into like, sentient things that sort of swipe at you and shit.
So, this is really messed up. Did you end up playing Boneworks?
Yes.
Yeah. It is really fucking freaky in that game when one of the humanoid creatures is really close to you, and you're essentially able to, in that game, for those who haven't played it, fend them off physically. Like, you have physical hands, they have physical hands. You can grab them, shove them, like, block their attacks. Can you imagine a fucking Thing-esque creature up that close to you and having to sort of fend it off in VR?
I think what made it so bad in Boneworks was the fact that there was no face. It was like a mannequin come to life.
Yeah.
And there's something about not knowing whether it's facing you or not that just, like, trying to sneak past them and all this sort of stuff is just, nah.
So, yeah, I think having that sort of combat in there, or fucking the Walking Dead game, Saints and Sinners.
Yep.
That's messed up when a zombie's up close to you. It's in a similar way, because you can kind of shove them back. You can kind of, like, fend them off a little, but it's, or
shove a screwdriver into their brain.
Yeah.
But in this case, I like the idea that what you're trying to do is actually, you got like a little patch kit that you can, patch up your hazmat suit. But effectively, if you get harmed too much, you're not doing harm to your health. You're doing harm to the actual suit.
To your DNA.
No, you're doing harm to the suit, which in turn does harm to the DNA. But if you get a massive tear in your suit, you don't have long before you need to actually.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I like that. And yeah, I think it is like, maybe you go out on these missions or these exhibitions, essentially, expeditions. You go out on these expeditions into...
You go out on an exhibition.
We're showing
where you're showing how to fight all these things in an exhibition match.
No, you go out on these expeditions into the mutated area. Yeah, you're in your suit, and you end up having to fight these things off. And it's not until you get back to base where it's like, okay, now we're going to measure like the degradation of your DNA or like how much it's been altered. And so then there's maybe some like resource gathering or different things where you can reverse that to a certain point or different things. But like if you reach a certain level of DNA mutation, I don't know if that's game over or if something about like you have something that affects your gameplay now or whatever. But
so is it Monster Hunter World-esque, but in VR? In that you're going out on expeditions, trying to. You heard that near the farmhouse down the
there's like a new type
down
of
the end of
creature or something.
There's a new mutant that has just come to life, and
I do
you're sort
like
of going
that.
out.
And you're having to essentially take samples. Like you're not trying to kill them. You're just trying to like get samples of them or their eggs or whatever, whatever these creatures are like. And so you might have some stealth sort of aspects where it's like, okay, I got to get up close, stab a fucking needle into them, take some blood, and then run like hell or what do you know? Have some really tense moments.
Oh, VR and running and not being able to see behind you is just...
Yeah, I think we do the, like...
You're noping out of there, basically.
You do the arm swinging running. So you have to physically move to run. Yeah. That's pretty messed up. No, I like that. That's got some legs and arms and too many arms and a face on the chest and lots of cool stuff. No, I like it. Yeah, I think we'll end it there.
Yes. Sounds good.
Yeah. So on that note, thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find us online, you can go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm. All of our previous episodes are there. What's this one, 207?
Yes, 207.
Man, they're going by quick. We're going to be at 300 before we know it.
That's what we said at 100, and it felt like it was like 2 weeks ago that we were at 100.
I know. Anyway, go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm, listen to every one of our previous episodes, leave a review on them all, tell us what you think. And then you'll be all caught up for next week. Also, we are part of the 8-Bit Collective. This is a group of podcasters doing shows around video games mostly, but also pop culture and role-playing games and a ton of great stuff. So go to 8bit.net, check some of those out, and donate to the Patreon. Go give them/us some moolah.
We'd also like it if you could check out the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Just search for the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook or look for @AGP Network. on Twitter. And finally, we'd like to thank Carrotkaze for the use of the song Mad Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
What are you doing to my brother? You've carved a face on his skin.
You can talk.
I can talk. And I can kill!